Welcome to part 3 of the Google Photos API tutorial series. My name is Jay. So from the last video, we learned how to use the album resource to create, edit, as well as how to update the album's information. In this lesson, we'll learn how to use the MediaItems resource. If you don't know what a media item is the original copy of a photo or video file. So for example, a JPEG file or MP4 file are an example of a media file. Throughout this tutorial, we'll learn how to list all the media files of a Google account, retrieve media information such as metadata, file name, and as well as how to search a media item using the search function. I'm going to leave the batch create method in a separate video, just because the batch create method is used to upload medias. To upload a media item or items, it takes 3 steps. So I'll leave that in a separate video. And I'll start with the list method first. So let's go back to Python, and I'm going to kill this terminal session. I'm going to create a new Python script. I'm going to name this Python file demo MediaItems.py. And first, I'm going to import the service instance from the init photo service module. And here I have a typo. It should be ICE service. And I'm also going to import the pandas library. So if I just manually import these 2 libraries, and they execute successfully. And let me configure my pandas display option first. So I'll go to the list method first, just because that method is the easiest one to work with. So from the service instance, and we can reference the MediaItems resource. And under this resource, we can call the list method. If we go to the documentation page, under the list method, we have 2 parameters, page size and the page token. So let me go back real quick. So for the page size, the default is set to 25, but the maximum is 100. Usually I'll set the page size to 100, and just because if you set the page size to 25, and if you need to retrieve 100 items, and that means you need to make 4 API calls. First, if you set the page size to 100, then you only need to make 1 API call. But for demonstration, I'm going to set the page size to 25, because I want to show you how to take the page token and to extract the media items for the next batch. If your media items exceed the page size limit. Oops. So here, let me run line 7. And if I print the response object, and that's going to output the entire media set as a list, actually, because so here response is actually a dictionary. So if you print the keys, we're going to get 2 keys, media items and the next page token. For this batch, my media items count exceed the page size limit, so I need to take the next page token and to extract the next batch. And to do that, I'm going to create a list. I'm going to name this list lst_medias, and I'm going to pass the first batch. So from the response object, I'm going to reference the media items key. And here I'm going to pass the page token to the next page token variable. Now I'm going to insert a while loop, and I'm going to iterate until I'm going to basically iterate the retrieval until the next page token is empty. I'll name this as response service media items list. And I'm going to set the page size to 100. I'm going to pass the next page token to the page token variable. Actually, not variable, parameter that execute. And I'm going to append the media items to my list media's list object. Should be using. It's fine. So I'll use extend, and this will be response get media items, and I'm going to grab the next batch token. And that's it. So here I'm going to create a data frame. I'm going to call this df media list, actually media items. I'll pass the list medias. Now if I just highlight my my block of code and just run it, and here you must use the same parameter. Oh, so I guess let's see. So maybe I need to set the page size to 25. So let me try again. So I just changed the page size to 100, from 100 to 25. Alright, now this time the Python statements execute successfully. So that means that was the issue. So just be aware that when you set the list parameters, the values have to be the same. Now if I print the df media items, here's extra blank space. Let me over. And these are all the available fields from the media items result. So we have the ID for each media item, and product URL, base URL, MIME type, which indicating the media file type. And here's the metadata information, file name, and if your media items has description, then the description field will show the description information. For the next method I want to go over is the get method. And very similar to the list method, except that with the get method, you extract a single media item information. And let me go back to the documentation. If we look at the get method, the only parameter that is required is the media item ID. So let's say I want to extract the media information for this file, kuma.jpg. And I know for this record, and it's going to be index 108, so I can just directly reference that record. And I need the ID, not the file name, so it should be ID. And I'm going to pass the media item ID to a variable called media ID. Now if I reference the media items method .get, I'll pass the media ID to the media item ID parameter .execute. I'll run these two lines individually. Now if I print the response, and that gives me the the media information for that file. So here's the media item ID, the product URL, and here's the file name and the metadata, such as which camera was used to capture that photo, and what was the focal length used to capture that image, aperture number and creation time, the image width and height, and so on. Now that's for the get method. The next method I want to talk about is the search method. So that's for the get method. The next method I want to talk about is the batchGet method. The batchGet method is very similar to the get method. You can extract a batch of media items. If we look at the query parameters, so here is indicating it's asking for a string. The correct parameter data type should be a list. So here let's just do an exercise. So this will be batchGet method. And let's grab a list of media IDs from the df media items, and let's grab media items from 107 to 111. Let me see, df media items, and I want the ID from yep, sure, you can just do this from 107 to 111. So let me just run this statement real quick. Okay, and here's our IDs, and I need to convert that to a list. Okay, so here we have our list that contains a list of media items ID. So I'm going to create my response from service media items dot batchGet, and for the media item IDs, I'm going to pass the media IDs variable .sq. And here, so if I just print the response, and that returns as a dictionary. And if we just print the key, and we get this key, media items result. So now we know the key name, so we can reference the key media item results. If I just print the output, should me convert that to a data frame. I'll print in the terminal. Okay. So we get 5 records and on the this media items column. So if we need to unpack the information, so what we can do is I'll take the data frame, and we can reference the column .apply, and we'll pass the pd.series function, and I'll unpack the dictionaries. So here we have the ID, product URL, base URL, and if let me move the window to the right a little bit. We have the MIME type, metadata, and the file name. And let me copy these statements, and I'll just put it right here. And I'll delete this line. Print. Okay, now let's move on to the next method, which is going to be the last method that I'm going to cover in this video. And the method is the search method. So you use the search method to search for media items in your Google Photos library. Let me scroll down to the request body. And if we look at the request body, it has 4 different fields: album ID, page size, page token, and the filters. And I want to look at the filters field real quick. If you read the description here, filters to apply to the request, and this field can be set in conjunction with an album ID. So that means if you provide an album ID, then you cannot use the filters field, and vice versa. Now, let me scroll down just a little bit more. If we look at filters session, under the JSON representation, we have 4 different filters as well as 2 configuration options, which is going to be Boolean value. And I'll cover filters in just a little bit. For now, I want to show you how to use the album ID to list all the media items under a specific album. So we'll do that first, and next we'll do the filters. So here, let me go back to Python, and this is going to be search method by album ID. So I'm going to create a response object, and I'm going to name this response album list. Albums, actually, album list. And I'm going to reference the albums method. It should be albums, that's right. Albums list. And I'm going to list all the albums that execute. And I want to grab the album list. So I'm just I don't need all the albums, so I just need small simple albums. So let me just run these 2 lines individually. If I print albums list, and I just need 1 album ID. So here, let me import the ppprint function. Prints. And if I print the albums list again, and this time we'll get a more organized output. Let's see. Okay, so I'll use my JS photo album, and here, instead of copy and paste the album's ID, I'm going to write a function. I can just do this. So album ID, yeah, it should be fine. Is equals to filter. So I'm going to use the filter function, and I'm going to create a lambda function, and this is going to be my album's name. So JS photo. In X, so X is going to be my input parameter. I'm going to check against the title. So basically, I'm saying that if the title name is JS photo, then I want to grab the album's album's ID, and it's coming from albums list. I only want the first instance. Now let me give it a try. So if I print the album ID, and okay, so here's my album ID. And I'm going to write my request body. And my album ID is going to be my album ID variable. And page size, I'm going to set that to 25. So I'll name my response search. So here I'll type service.mediaitems.search, and I'll pass my body request, request body to the body parameter .seq. And we know this can be potentially multiple batches. So here I'll create a list object. I'll name this object list. So I'll just type list media items. And from response search, I'm just going to reference the media items key. And next, page token. And again, so I'm going to insert a while loop and to iterate all the batches. And noticing that, so if I go back to the documentation, and this time we're actually passing the page token inside the request body. And usually when you look at different resource or class, the page token parameter is actually outside the request body. But since the page token is inside the body, so we can basically just insert a new dictionary key and pass the token value. And we're going to extend the list items. Response dot get media items. And this is going to be data frame. It will pass the list media items. And that should be it. Alright, now let's give it a try. So if I just highlight everything and highlight from line 44 to line 66 and run it. If I print the search result data frame, and he will get 10 items. So that means for my JS photo, I only have 10 media files. So let's go back and check. And yep, so let me go back. So if I look at the albums, and here under JS photo, I only have 10 items, and which is what I have right here. If I want to extract all the media items on let's do Google Products icon album. And actually, let me grab the album name. So I can replace the name right here. And I'll just run the same statements. If I print df search results, and what's going on here? I forgot the body, and this should be body is equals to request body. Okay. Now let me try one more time. Okay, now this time everything ran successfully. Now if I print df search results, and I get 62 rows. Now if I go back to my album, actually go to the main page, and from the Google Products icon album, I have 62 items. And that's how you search media using the album ID. Now I want to talk about how to use the filters option. So if we just look at the categories, we can filter the media items by dates. So this is going to be the dates when the media is created, or we can search by the date range. So if I go into the dates filter, and we have dates or ranges, which is the date range. And then we have the content filter. The content filter allows you to filter your media items by categories. And these are all the available categories that you can search from. So you can search for any image that are marked as landmarks by Google Vision AI, and or selfies, or if your image has people in it, then you can search by people category, and so on. And there's actually quite many. And I presume that for next version, and Google will most likely add even more categories to this list. And as well as media type filter, you can search your medias by videos or photos. And the feature filter basically is a filter to filter out whether or not if your media items is marked as favored. And that's basically it. Now let's go to each filter one by one and learn how to use them. Oh, and the last two fields include archive media. So if you for some of the media, you can actually move to the archive folder, and this setting will allows you to specify if you want to retrieve media items that are also in the archive folder. And for the exclude non-app create data, so this filter is used for when you want to include or exclude media items created using the Google Photos API. Now let's go to each item one by one, and we'll basically do a couple exercises on how to use them. So this one will be search method by content, it should by dates. So we're going to have different filter options. So before we dive into the dates filter, I want to create a function to expedite the response object process. And I'm going to name this function media items. It's media items by filter, so we can avoid doing any redundant steps. And the parameter is going to be request body, and it's going to take a dictionary object. So basically what we're using this block of code right here, and we're just converting this Python statement into a function. So service.mediaitems.search, it will pass the request body.execute. And we can grab everything from here. And I know sometimes so if you use the search method, and sometimes you may get an empty page token. So here I'm going to insert if condition, and actually not token, blank, actually empty media items dictionary list. So here I'm going to say, I'm going to check if media items is none. And this is going to be the last batch. I'm going to set the next page token to blank to so I'm going to just pass an empty string, and that will terminate the while statement, and I'll return the list media items. And here I'm going to insert except return none. And I'm going to run this function, so it will save in memory. Okay, now actually let me move this function to here. So we're going to search by the dates filter first. And if we look at the JSON representation, the date filter has two different fields, dates and ranges. Dates are basically takes a list, and you just need to provide the dictionary object with the date values that you want to search for. So for example, I'm going to set my page. So here I'm going to construct my request body dictionary string. And I'm going to set my page size to 100. And filters. So here's my filters field. And dates filter. If you want to search media items created by date range, we'll use the range field. And it's going to be a list. So you can actually insert multiple date ranges, but ultimately you want to give a start date, and you want to provide the year. So let's say I want to search all media items created in year 2018. And we're going to have an end date. And months, it's going to be December 31st. And I'm going to pass the result to a data frame. And from the response media item by filter function, it will pass the request body. Now let's give it a try. So if I just run line 91 to 113, and that's it. So if I run df search result, and I get empty empty data frame. Let me double check. Hold on. So if I go back to the function, and here I forgot the body parameter. Now if I go back to my statements and write, and here I can, so this should be ranges. And not range, ranges. So plural. Oh, and here's the typo, start date. Okay, now that got executed successfully. So if I print the search result, so here I get 3 results. So that means based on this criteria right here, and only so from my secondary Google accounts, only 3 media images were created in year 2018. So if you just look at one file, this file name, brooklynbridge.jpg. If I go to the info information, and here's the file creation date, so October 17 of 2018. Now if I search for file created in media files created in 2019, and so if I print the search results, and I get 53 rows of results come back. Now if I want to search by exact date, and here let me comment out the criteria. I can use the dates field, and instead providing a range, I'm going to just provide a list of dates object. So let's say I want to search files created in December 23rd, 2019. And maybe just one more. Let's do 2019 November 19. Now if I run this statement's right here, and if I print the results, that doesn't look right. So I'm going to pause here real quick, and I'm going to troubleshoot, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm back, and I figured out the issue. So the function was working correctly. So okay, so the issue here is that I'm currently in Thailand, and the time zone difference, so the issue was actually the time zone difference. And here I'm using my local time zone, which is Pacific time. For Pacific time is GMT -8. And because Thailand's time zone is different from the time zone that I set in my account. So if I want to search for any files, files are created on November 20, I need to adjust the time zone difference. And to translate the time zone difference, I should be using 20. Now if I run the same statements again, oops, so before I got my internet got disconnected. So let me go back and re-import the libraries. And I'll run, and I'll save the function in memory. Alright, now if I run the same statements again, and if I print the data frame search results, now I get 48 rows of output items come back. And so here let me set my pandas display option again. So if I print the results set, and here I get the correct output. So ideally I should specify one more date, just because my time zone is a little bit off. So So let's do 19. And if I print df search result, and so this is my my true result set. Here we have media items created December 23rd, and oops, this should be 11 and not 19. Let's try again. If I print the data frame, and here we have the true result set. So if we just go to the list, and so we can see that every single media item is created either on December 23rd of 2019 or November 19 of 2019. And that's for the date filter. Now I want to go down to the next item, and which is the content filter. Content filter. So again, we'll create a request body and page size 100 and filters. So this one is going to be content filter. If we go back to the documentation and go down a little bit. So within the content filters field, and we can include or exclude different categories that we want. So for example, I want to search for my if I want to search medias that include category food, so let's do include content categories, and it's gonna be a list. I'll come back to that later. And exclude content categories. Now let's go back to the documentation, and so if we go to the content category list, and let's say I want to include receipt, actually not receipt, landmark. And maybe food. And I want to exclude sports. And maybe one more, animals. And now if we pass the request body to our search result, and we can just grab this line right here and run the statements. And if we print the results, and these are the 9 records or 9 items that match to our criteria. So if I just grab a image file, if I just grab a file name, and I know for the first item, Brooklyn Bridge, it matches to the landmark. So if I grab this file name, and search for this file name, and so here's so this is an image of food. And I know there's no category for vegetables. If we replace food with gardens, I think that will also gives me the same result. Let me try it. I guess not. So this one matches to the criteria. So if I search for this file name, I guess for my images, nothing matched to the second category, which is the gardens category content. But this one matches. So this one is the gelato tower in Istanbul. Alright, so just a couple more to go. And the next one is the media type. So if you want to search your if you want to search by media type, and here let me grab the request body. Media type. And we'll want to use the media type filter field. And here we can specify the media types. And ultimately, you only have 3 options. Let me go back. You have all media, video, or photo. If I want to search videos, so I'll just type video as my media type, and that's it. Now if I copy that and just run it, and oh, so here's a typo. Media type filter, and this will be media types. And if we print the results, and from my account, I only have 2 video files. So one is this one, and the other one is a restaurant movie file. So let me do a search. So if I search this file name, and that's going to return the video that I took. Alright, now that's that. And the next filters I want to cover is the feature filter. So the feature filter search medias if they are marked as favored. So here, let me go back, and it's basically equivalent to. Here, let me load this page real quick. Okay, so my internet is down again, and let me try to refresh the page again. So it's got reconnect. Okay. So the feature filter basically search for files marked as favored. And so if you go to your search field and click on favorites, and so here if you see the star symbol, that means all those photos are marked as favored. So to search for media files marked as favored, so we'll create a request body, page size, filters, and the field name is going to be feature filter. And it's going to be include features. And right now there's only one items, so one options that you can search for. So if we go to the enum options, it's either favorites or none. And want to choose favorites. And if I run these statements right here, and feature filters, let's see, include features. Okay, so I forgot the S. Now if I print the result set, And here I get 4 results. And if we go back to our Google photo, and here I get 4 results as well by manually search the favorites media files. Right, now the last 2 items are the include archive media and the exclude non-app create data filters. So search method and include archive media and exclude app create data. So these 2 fields are just basically additional filter to include or exclude based on these 2 criteria. So request body, page size, filters. If we want to include archive file, you want to set the value to 2. And if you want to exclude non-app created data, you can set that to 2 as well. And lastly, we just need to pass the body to our function. And so here a typo. Exclude non-app created data. Oh, it's the first one. Include archive media let me see. Include. Oh, so I forgot. It should be archived. And if I print the result set, and we get empty result. So that means include. So this should be false because right now, none of the media items exclude. Let me try. Because this one is always a little bit tricky to get to work. Try. Okay. Right now, every single of my media items in my Google account is created manually. So that's why when I set this to 2, the result set returns an empty data set. So if you upload media items such as photos or movie files, and via the API code, and if you set this to false, not false, if you set this to 2, then that's going to return all the media files or items that are created using the Google Photos API. Now that's everything I want to cover in this video. And for the next video, I want to show you how to use the batch create method. And we'll be using this batch create method to upload media items such as movie or photos to our Google's account. And this one's a little bit more work, just because if we go to the documentation, the batch create method is actually the second step, and we need to perform the first step. Actually, so this should be the third step, not the second step. And we need to perform the first 2 steps, which is upload an image to Google server, and the second step is to extract the token file that associated to the image that you upload, and we'll pass the token ID to the batch created method. So yeah, so see you on the next video.